when a synthesizer is playing the lead instrument, there has to be some sort of human element to the performance. If we get rid of the pitch bend and listen to this first note, this is what we get. But then with this pitch bend on it, there's just something that there's sort of inflections, sort of the ornamentation gives it a sense of like of an uncanny sort of humanity. So here we have the logic file for La. This is what the harmonic study sort of section looked like. Let's see, look, you can see all the automation is quite extreme here because I just wanted to hear certain bits at certain times, and certain instruments are playing sort of more arpeggiated moments. Some are playing sort of just bass notes. Got these pipe strings here, as I called them. I always had to sort of come up with different names for these things, which is very useful. Here we go. So if I could just solo this lot without the sound effects or the La.
And are these all sounds you've designed, or are these things straight from a keyboard? Or
these are sounds that I have designed, basically. I often have a jumping off point from a preset or something like that, but I usually sort of send it into complete oblivion and then come back. But I do like bouncing off a preset.
So I mean, because we're hearing lots of different elements in there.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, there's the brass in there, and there's these bells and strings, and there's a lot going on.
So there's the sort of core of it, which is sort of these sort of string-like. And you can see the pattern here, just like visually, that it's sort of going down like that, going down like that, going down like that, because it's a sequence. It's the same pattern, but there's a kind of pivot point where it kind of, the end kind of goes back to the beginning, but it's actually in a new key every time. Because if it was the same every time, it would just be the same thing every time, but this is going upwards. And that's, to me, what gives a sound of it, like pushing forwards, and the sort of that sense of adventure and sort of odyssey to it. And you can hear at this point of the song, we've reached our kind of equilibrium where the melody has started, and the melody really like helps ground it into this sort of like repeatable moment, because at the beginning it's like there's a sense of where are we with this sort of beginning moment. So that was a sort of that was that initial process there, and then the where's my flute? There we go. We have our lead synth here from my very trusty instrument, Steam Pipe, possibly one of the greatest instruments of all time, which is made by Reactor. Here we have the okay, so here, look. Here we can see how the sound is sort of achieved, really, because when a synthesizer is playing the lead instrument, you can't just like play just like most of the time you can't really play just a pure electronic sound on its own, or like some preset lead synth. There has to be some sort of human element to the performance. Otherwise, it just sounds quite sort of blank and sort of unemotional. And I find tuning is a big part of that. So this automation line at the bottom here is the tuning. It's the pitch bend, basically, and I use it to sort of often just play melodies on it. So if you look, in fact, if I just like get rid of the pitch bend here, and we listen to this first note. So that's what's happening. I'll just play that again. So if we get rid of the pitch bend and listen to this first note, this is what we get. But then with this pitch bend on it, there's just something that there's sort of inflections, sort of the ornamentation gives it a sense of like of an uncanny sort of humanity. And it's when there's that uncanny humanity, but also with emotion in it, for some reason, that is what I want to hear.
Yeah, but it sounds like somebody's actually blowing that.
Yes.
Then, and they happen to be using a deeper breath at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's the kind of inflections that you get in a performance. But there's something about that in a kind of mechanical sort of robotic performance that I just really enjoyed.
This episode is being supported by Tape It, the iPhone app made specifically for musicians. If you, like many of our guests, use voice memos, then switching to Tape It is an obvious choice. And now, Tape It has layering. This means you can record over your voice notes, try out top lines, stack harmonies, build up instruments, jam with yourself, and so much more. Layering is such an exciting addition to Tape It's long list of features to help you stay creative and organized, including the ability to record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, and add photos of settings. You can easily import your old voice notes, sync to the cloud, and create shared playlists with co-writers and bandmates. So, head to the link below to install Tape It and use the promo code TAPENOTES to receive a whopping 20% off Tape It Pro. And now, back to the episode.
One extra thing that I'd like to hit on actually is this very controversial subject which was brought up on my Instagram stories recently, based on a question that someone asked of OK Lou, which is arpeggiators. Because there's a certain type of producer that loves arpeggios, and composer as well, that loves arpeggios. And some people see it as a frowned upon thing to use an arpeggiator, which is a sort of process by which it plays the arpeggio automatically, and you can choose the frequency of that and all sorts. And my response to that was that I just sometimes do use arpeggiators when necessary to make an effect like that. So you can see what's going on there. That is playing all the notes very fast. If you look at what that looks like, it's a static chord there with this sort of melody moving above it with these different voices. But what's happening is that it's actually playing the notes in a very fast arpeggio, and then in the silent, it should be going 100% into a reverb. New versions of Silent is available. I do not want that. And so it's playing up and down repeatedly in an arpeggio, and then it's going into a reverb. So that's what creates this sort of cloud of sound. You can hear it sort of going up and down. So that's the context in which I really think arpeggios are perfectly sort of reasonable to use.
Okay, can we hear without the reverb?
Oh, wow, yeah. You want to hear my nude arpeggios? Arpeggiation, sorry.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
That's a marked difference.
Yeah, you can see why I've got that reverb on it. So an example of when I personally in my stuff would want a sort of artisanally handwritten arpeggio is after this section. So I wrote the notes of this. Because, yeah, I just think it's really necessary if you are someone like me who loves arpeggios to really be in control of the contour of it, and at what point the voices are somewhat melodic and the way in which the end of it connects to the beginning of the next bit. So just to, draw my line in the sand regarding arpeggios and arpeggiators, that is that. So
well, I guess maybe the issue is that for some people, by going and using the arpeggiator, if you're not able to write your own arpeggios as you are, that it's an easy option. because it's like, oh, I can kind
And also, sometimes it sounds really good.
Oh, yeah.
It's ultimately just about what sounds good in the end. But
Yeah.
the fact is, I just care so much about arpeggios.
Yeah.
Is that I kind of like, I forced myself to learn how to write them, and exactly the ones that I want to listen to. And it's like, if you really like something, you should sort of learn the ins and outs of how it works, really, and sort of to make it your own, you know?